So, I actually don't watch Adin Ross. I don't really consume a whole lot of Red Pill content. I know of it. I've watched some of it, and a lot of it has a lot of points. But in my honest opinion, a lot of it has become kind of like just a grift in a lot of ways. There was a lot of courses attached to it that people had to pay $50 for. And it was a lot of hidden content that just kind of, in my opinion, I watch like Gokinaru break down guys like Sneeko, and it just kind of seemed like that whole creativity kit was a scam. So it's like if you're gonna consume red pill content, I got nothing against you. I just say watch for the snake oil that's hidden in there, because there's a lot of people who are looking to capitalize on a generation of lost young men who are looking for direction, or at least a direction to point, and they'll be sold on these supplements, these live, which getting guys to work out and invest in their bank accounts is always a good thing. I always think that people should do that instead of relying on a 9 to 5 job to keep them stable, because you never know what's going to happen in this world. I think being self-sufficient is really good. So there's a lot of things in that space that I have to say, you know what, I agree with. Just like I said, there's a few splotches in there where it's like, okay, before you bite the whole cookie, see if those are like peanuts or M&Ms and that whole thing. You know what I'm talking about? But in all fairness, I do give guys like Adin Ross credit where they go into the ring with Sean O'Malley, even though you could obviously tell he's going like 5 or 10%, and even Sneeko, where Sean Strickland turned it up to probably like 50 or 60%. I'm still of the mind, in my opinion, where I felt like Sean Strickland was probably only going half speed, because I feel like if he really wanted to, a lot of people who haven't trained martial arts or haven't met a professional martial artist or shook the hand of a martial artist, whether they're your size, bigger, smaller, it's actually really scary. I was actually competing in a jiu-jitsu tournament in a local area, and I came across Rampage Jackson and shook his hand, and you could tell if that guy wanted to, he could crush my hand with his fist. There's a reason they're in that professional ring, is because they are just built different. It's not on the surface, you can't explain it, but when they grab you, it's just like a different kind of human being is punching you, and that's why they're in this thing. But to see guys still go up against them, it's still pretty interesting, because you're basically, setting yourself up to be embarrassed. And you know what? I don't think that it's embarrassing to go up against a guy who's 1,000 times tougher than you. But you can't tell that Adin Ross does need some training in MMA, or I feel like he has now experienced some of it, and he could probably get to training a little bit, maybe take it a little more serious. Maybe him and Sneeko can meet up and spar a little bit or do something like that. I know a lot of those guys are looking to hang out with guys like Nate Diaz and train with them. And hey, you got the clout, you got the influence, you got the money, and those guys are always looking to hang out with people of high status to get exposure too, because a lot of professional fighters really don't make a whole lot of money. Although, I will be honest, Sugar Sean and Sean Strickland, they do actually, do a little well for themselves. I'm not so sure Sean Strickland is as wealthy as Sugar Sean, but you look at all the business investments that Sugar Sean O'Malley has, and you could tell that he did this out of the goodwill of his heart. I don't think he needs the clout from Adin Ross or any of the buyouts or anything. Him and Tim Kennedy are totally doing awesome, both in the fight world and in the financial world. You can tell they're money makers. You'll never catch them at a 9 to 5 job. But at the end of the day, kind of just seeing it as a kind of a goofy thing was pretty good. It was lighthearted, where Sean Strickland versus Sneeko got very dark, and you could just tell Sean was enjoying just putting the beating on Sneeko. And although I don't really like Sneeko that much, and it's not because of his views or anything like that, it's because primarily I watch a YouTuber by the name of Brandon Buckingham, and they have a long beef. You could look into that, and it doesn't make Sneeko look like a good person at all. And I honestly think someone like Brandon Buckingham has probably got better, more solid, more informational content that goes far beyond just talking about the dating culture and everything like that. Even though the dating culture is obviously a hot topic on the internet, but circling back to Adin Ross, and even Sneeko too, because this goes for somewhere. Now that you've had your foot in the realm of what it's like to be a fighter, whether you really brought it to those guys or not, which you didn't. I'm going to be honest, those professional fighters probably made you look like you couldn't handle anything. But maybe spar with some people who are of your caliber, like not professional fighters, not really amateur fighters, but just kind of like starting off being a hobbyist and then build off of there because they're still young. They still got a lot of time to develop. If you're training martial arts, it does take you quite a long time for it to click and for you to get a realistic feel for it. Because when you start sparring, your adrenaline starts going and you can't think straight. A lot of things are there. You got that adrenaline dump. So, like I said, when it comes down to it, give guys like Adin Ross and Sneeko just a little bit of a break. Give them some time to develop their skills. You know what? Who knows? Maybe they might do really good for themselves in the future. But until then, that's what I got to say. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Sayonara.